Thursday, April 11. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. Member of Parliament Juliet Cuthbert Flynn on Tuesday afternoon admitted she had an abortion in the United States when she was 19. Her statement was made as she continued her fight to have legal termination of pregnancies. She made the admission during a meeting of the Human Resource and Human Development Committee of Parliament, which is reviewing her recommendations made for legalization of abortion.
I know of persons who have the same thing that you had, whose tumor would not shrink and was in the same situation as you were and had to have an abortion because that person's life would have been in danger, and that person is me.
May I reply, honorable member?
I chose my life. I chose my life over something that I was not certain about. I did not plan on it, and because I was told that I could not have gotten pregnant.
Cuthbert Flynn made her statements following a submission to the committee by Carol Bridge, who recounted being diagnosed with a life-threatening brain tumor, but deciding to ignore her doctor's advice to have an abortion to save her life. Mrs. Bridge stated that she went on to have a healthy baby girl who is now an adult and that her tumor went away.
I was being treated with a powerful drug for a particular brain tumor called a prolactinoma. I think it's giving trouble when I became pregnant. The immediate reaction of the highly qualified professor at the University Hospital of the West Indies was to insist that the only course of action was for me to have an abortion, and as quickly as possible. His reasons were: 1, the drug would result in fetal abnormality, and 2, the tumor would most likely grow during the strong possibility of causing blindness because of its proximity to my optic nerve. Despite the physical consequences he stated, what seemed obvious to the doctor was not obvious to me, because even at that stage, with my limited knowledge, it was clear to me that I would be killing a life distinct from my own. Subsequent discussions with the doctor proved to be even more dire regarding the medical outcomes of keeping my child. Yet 9 months later, I delivered a perfectly healthy baby girl with no adverse physical effects to myself. I never conceived again. Our daughter is the only child of my husband and myself.
However, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn took issue with the testimony of Mrs. Bridges, arguing that people's situations vary.
It doesn't mean, as you state, that you chose life because you are for life. I think people who have abortions, it's not that they're not for life. It is not that they're not for life. Why they choose to have an abortion, it is possibly their circumstance why they choose to have an abortion. And that person was me at the age 19. And so I had a brain tumor that was pressing on my optic nerve, that was creating severe headaches, that I would have gone blind. I was 19 and I had to have surgery. That's the difference between you and myself. You did not need surgery apparently because your tumor was shrinking. Your tumor was shrinking, mine wasn't. And therefore, this was a life-saving effort for me in order, because my headaches were so severe that I could not function. I was not functioning. I was passing out every week. I was fainting, dropping down on the track. Okay? Ending up in the hospital on a drip, not knowing what was wrong with me. And I was not going to take that chance. I wanted to live, me. And so I'm here, and I was able to have a child and another one after. So again, the point I'm trying to make is there are many situations in life that is not just black and white, and it's not just the same for everyone.
The youth-led Christian organization Love March Movement yesterday called on Parliament to consider alternatives to abortion, such as reviewing the legislative framework for the adoption process to make it easier for children to be matched with families. Addressing the Human Resource and Social Development Committee at Gordon House yesterday, Vice President of LMM, Francesca Tavares, said information gathered from the Child Protection and Family Services Agency by the organization revealed that as at January this year, there were 100 people waiting to be matched with a child.
When we reached out to the staff of the adoption unit at the Child Protection and Family Services Agency in January 2019, seeking to discover and learn what challenges they face on a daily basis, we found that there were over 100 persons waiting to be matched with a child as at January 2019. And that should not be the case. We want to encourage this committee to recommend real solutions. Jamaica is a country that loves babies. We love children and we love life. And it's counterproductive to want to encourage a society that respects human life when we don't respect the most vulnerable amongst us.
Tavares also urged the government to allocate more funding to pregnancy resource centers and initiatives to provide assistance to offset the cost of having a child. The LMN, in its submission, continued its pushback against the motion now before the House Committee to decriminalize abortion, arguing that fathers are being left out of the conversation.
The discussion on abortion has excluded the father altogether. Recently, Dr. Thomas was attending a conference, and a father who several years prior, his former partner had an abortion without consulting him, spoke of the incredible pain and hurt and anguish and anger within his heart. And that he has to grapple with in a world that says to him, this is a woman's issue. This is a woman's issue. You have nothing to do with it. However, the same world says, the same country says that, father, you need to become more involved in your child's life. Where are the fathers? But these same fathers are excluded from the discussion. And abortion is not a woman's issue. It's a human issue.
The committee is reviewing the private member's motion tabled by St. Andrew West Rural Member of Parliament Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, calling for Parliament to consider the recommendations of the 2007 Abortion Policy Group. The Housing Agency of Jamaica, HAJ, will be increasing the number of affordable housing solutions provided to low and middle income earners. As stated in the 2019-2020 Public Bodies Estimates of Revenue and Expenditure, the entity is projecting to deliver some 1,460 solutions this fiscal year, up from 309 in 2018-2019. These comprise serviced lots, housing starts, and/or completed houses. In addition, construction is scheduled to commence on 2,058 housing starts, up from 1,477 in the previous financial period. The agency projects a net profit of approximately $462.5 million in 2019-2020, up from $185.16 million in 2018-2019. Jamaicans currently contributing to the National Insurance Scheme, NIS, will see an increase in the amount deducted from their salaries this month. The 0.5% increase announced by Minister of Finance and Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, in December took effect 2 Mondays ago, moving NIS deductions from 5% to 5.5%. Additionally, Dr. Clark told Parliament that the contributions will further increase to 6% by April 1, 2020. The Parliamentary Committee considering the Criminal Justice Suppression of Criminal Organizations Act, popularly called the Anti-Gang Act, met on Wednesday. The Act makes provisions for the disruption and suppression of criminal organizations and outlines offenses. However, the bill stands in need of amendments. Therefore, speaking in the House of Representatives last year, on October 16, Prime Minister Andrew Holness had mandated the forming of this committee. Chaired by National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang during Wednesday's sitting, they reviewed the wording and key definitions of the bill.
Aggravating factor if the activity is committed within 300 meters of a school and confining it to children.
That is a concern, or whether the fact that it takes place close to a school should in itself be an aggravating factor. And I think we need a little bit more discussion about it.
I think it would be very helpful when we're going through this if we had the representatives of the organizations, because they could tell us, really what would satisfy them.
Hopefully.
But I don't think it's unreasonable to ask each of these organizations, certainly the MOCA and DPP.
And especially since we have a number of concerns about some MOCA recommendations and the DPP so far, I don't think it would delay us much if we just are clear.
Yeah. But I think we could, at least in square brackets, agree that if the person being induced or incited is a child, that should be an aggravated factor for sure. Query whether if the inducement is taking place within the precincts of a school, that should separately be itself an aggravating feature. Yeah.
The institutions, the agency should in fact be able to give us some more clarity though, because I guess you could be referring also to a tertiary institution where child no longer applies. So it may work the square bracket and ask them to come and clarify for us.
And it might very well be that it doesn't even require an it might not require an aggravating circumstance in this particular instance, because really, it's inducing or inciting. It's not. I think. In other words, Mr. Chairman, I could understand if the commission of the crime. If the commission of the crime occurred within the vicinity of a school, then obviously we have to think about the traumatic effect it would have on our children, and that sort of thing. So I could understand that being said, but that's not what it's saying. It's inducing someone or inciting them. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it occurs.
I think you'll have to go for. I think you'll have to include adults, because I think part of the whole, in dealing with the gangs, a big part of their business is drug pushing. And some of the very lucrative markets are education institutions. So whether it is high school or adult institution, it is an area where agents of gangs will seek to engage someone in basically entering the marketplace.
According to the Memorandum of Objects and Reasons, the Act, among other things, seeks to prohibit persons from establishing a criminal organization, taking part in or participating in a criminal organization, providing or obtaining a benefit from a criminal organization. And the legislation was passed in 2014 in both houses of Parliament. Commissioner of Corrections Ina Hunter leaves office today. She has been assigned to the Executive Direction and Administration section of the Ministry of National Security to assume the newly created post of Chief Program Officer. In a memo to staff on Wednesday, Hunter said, quote, "It was a pleasure to serve at the Department of Correctional Service for approximately 20 years, and I am grateful for the opportunity to serve in another capacity," end quote. Hunter did not indicate the reason for the transfer. Chairman of Central High School in Clarendon, Henry Morant, who is facing a murder charge, has taken leave of absence from the post. Minister without portfolio with responsibility for education, Carl Samuda, says the decision was made last week. He says the school will be seeking an interim chairman for the board. According to RJR News, Member of Parliament for Clarendon Central, Mike Henry, who had also been chided for his handling of the situation, defended how he dealt with the issues surrounding Mr. Morant's chairmanship, noting that he gave the chairman the benefit of the doubt since, by law, a person is innocent until proven guilty. The man charged for killing of fashion designer Dexter Pottinger pleaded guilty when he appeared in the Home Circuit Court on Wednesday. Romario Brown is charged with manslaughter, larceny from a dwelling, and simple larceny. Brown stole Pottinger's Honda CR-V motor vehicle as well as a television and a watch from his house. Pottinger's decomposing body was found at his place of residence in St. Andrew on August 31, 2017. The body had multiple stab wounds. Following an investigation by the police, Brown was arrested and later charged. It was revealed that Brown was out on bail for killing a woman in St. Andrew in 2016. People's National Party candidate in the just concluded Portland Eastern by-election, Damon Crawford, will remain as the candidate for the general election constitutionally due in 2021. Crawford, the People's National Party vice president who lost by some 300 votes to the Jamaica Labour Party's Anne-Marie Vaz last Thursday, said the 30 days he spent campaigning for the by-election in the constituency caused him to fall in love. The former Member of Parliament and Senator, who was speaking at the Port Antonio High School on Wednesday, told comrades that the love he has for them prevented him from deserting them. Motorists should see an increase at the pumps in the price of gasoline and diesel effective today. That's according to the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrojam. 87 and 90 octane gasoline will be sold for $133.46 and $136.30 per liter, respectively, up by $2.28 each. Automotive diesel fuel will be sold for $133.84 per liter, following an increase of $2.50, while ultra-low sulfur diesel is up by $2.37 and will be sold for $137.64 per liter. Meanwhile, kerosene increased in price by $2.94 and will be sold for $112.16 per liter. Remember, marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markup to these prices. The US dollar on Wednesday, April 10, ended trading at Jamaican $130.66, up by 19 cents. According to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary, the Canadian dollar ended trading at Jamaican $99.63, up from Jamaican $99.29, while the British pound sterling ended trading at Jamaican $170.58, up from $167.54. In regional news, Jamaica, Haiti, the Bahamas, and St. Lucia has joined several other members of the Organization of American States in recognizing Gustavo Tarre as Venezuela's legitimate ambassador at the regional body. Tuesday's vote to recognize Gustavo Tarre, named by opposition leader Juan Guaido for the OAS post, is seen as a heavy diplomatic blow to President Nicolas Maduro's government. The vote again highlighted a split in CARICOM. Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as well as Suriname, voted against. Barbados, Guyana, St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as Trinidad and Tobago, abstained. The United States and many other Western countries have recognized Guaido as Venezuela's interim president as they seek to delegitimize President Nicolas Maduro and pressure him out of office through diplomatic and economic sanctions. Opposition-nominated Commissioner Robertson Ben has formally threatened to take legal action against the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, over its decision to forge ahead with the house-to-house registration. Let's hear the latest in this Newsroom Guyana report.
Opposition-nominated Commissioner Robertson Ben on April 2nd sent a letter to the Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield demanding that the elections body stop the house-to-house registration exercise. In the letter sent through his lawyer Anil Nandlal, Ben threatened that he will file a court action if the GECOM does not respond in 7 days. Following a meeting of the Commission on Tuesday, government-nominated Commissioner Vincent Alexander said the letter was not discussed at the meeting. He believes the pending court action is a waste of resources.
it's a joke. I think we're reducing our politics to jokes now. We've had house registration on a number of occasions in this country, including 2008. What I know is that he is causing tremendous waste of resources, because the case is nothing but a joke, and to have to impose upon GCOM to hire a lawyer to defend the joke, it's not too much dissimilar from the other case brought by Marcel Gaskin, where the magistrate unequivocally said this is abuse of the court.
Ben, in his letter to the Commission, argued that GCOM's proposal to remove persons from the voters list who are not residing in Guyana will disenfranchise thousands of persons now qualified to vote. His lawyer, Nandlal, told the newsroom that the Constitution of Guyana does not require residency within Guyana or domicile within Guyana as a qualification to be registered or to vote. But Alexander sought to challenge that suggestion.
If house to house is happening and someone is away from Guyana at the time, at the end of that exercise, coming on to the elections, there would be claims and objections. And that provides an opportunity for anyone who would have come and or returned to do a claim and to get onto the list through claims and objections.
The GCOM commissioners nominated by the opposition People's Progressive Party again walked out of the agency's statutory meeting on Tuesday. The commissioners have been walking out of meetings since February, refusing to participate in discussions on the contentious house-to-house registration exercise. GCOM is set to begin the exercise in June, as it is currently training persons to do so. According to Alexander, the lack of consensus is affecting the procurement process at GCOM and also hampers the appointment of key personnel.
In sports, Jamaica's under-15 male team is set to depart the island to participate in the Cricket West Indies under-15 tournament in Antigua and Barbuda, which runs from April 11 to April 21. In 2018, Jamaica hosted the competition and finished in third place, with Jordan Johnson earning honors as the top bowler with 9 wickets. His performance, along with that of then-captain Sanjay Williams, earned them a selection to the CWI under-15 team, which toured the United Kingdom in the summer. Jamaica last won the regional under-15 tournament in 2011. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks so much for watching.